The year was 1986 when a stranger abducted a toddler from their bedroom in the middle of the night. The kidnapper took the child to a construction site, sexually assaulted the child, and took off when the toddler started screaming. As dawn broke, a couple delivering newspapers found the toddler and called police, who reunited them with their parents. Following the brutal crime, officers gathered evidence and talked with the victim. Unfortunately, officers were unable to identify the suspect. Fast forward 25 years, it's now 2011, and DNA evidence has now been firmly established as a vital tool in solving crimes.
The case was re-examined by a cold case detective. While he was conducting his review of the investigation, he identified some items of evidence that had not been tested. So in 2011, he forwarded those items to our lab, and an unknown male DNA profile was identified on some of the pieces of evidence.
The Phoenix Police Crime Lab entered the DNA into the National Criminal Database, known as CODIS. The DNA matched a 1992 sexual assault of a minor in Henderson, Texas. The case was eerily similar to the 1986 case. A suspect broke into a home, sexually assaulted a minor, and took off. At the time, officers were able to get a description of the suspect and DNA evidence, but there were no leads. In 2022, Phoenix PD Cold Case Sergeant Aaron Rodriguez was reviewing files when he came across this particular case and noticed information that could possibly be the key. Determined to crack the cold case, Sergeant Rodriguez assigned it to Detective Javier Quesada, a seasoned detective whose attention to detail and persistence made him a perfect fit.
Detective Quesada really wanted to bring some closure to those victims, and I think that's where his heart was at the time. That's what made him push on so much, because it's a difficult case. You have a DNA profile to two heinous crimes.
In hopes of finding new leads, Detective Quesada worked with the Texas Department of Public Safety. Meanwhile, DNA evidence was submitted to the Arizona DPS Crime Lab for additional analysis, and with the help of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office Sexual Assault Kit Initiative, better known as SAKI, funding and travel was provided to push forward the investigation. After nearly 2 years of tireless efforts, Detective Quesada's progress ground to a halt. Despite re-interviewing the victims, re-examining evidence, and chasing every possible lead, the puzzle remained unsolved. That's when detectives decided to go the forensic genealogy route, and the decades-long quest for answers finally resulted in a promising lead and a name: David Roy Munt. Munt was living in Longview, Texas, 30 miles from Henderson, Texas, where the second sexual assault took place in 1992. Phoenix PD immediately began coordinating with Texas Rangers to bring an end to this decades-long search. On August 6, 2024, Detective Quesada, along with Texas DPS, arrested Munt.
Got a call one day and said, "Hey, it's our guy." So super excited. We had obviously strong charges here as well as Texas.
A Texas judge ordered him held on a $1 million bond while awaiting extradition to Phoenix to answer to his charges. Finally, a chapter of pain and uncertainty closed as the suspect faced justice, allowing the victims and their loved ones a sense of closure.
When they do get to make that call where an arrest was made or a suspect was identified, it really is satisfying for them and for me as well. The victims are not forgotten, and there's a dedicated group that is actively giving it their all to bring resolution to